Hello everyone, it's BJW and I want to welcome you to a tutorial on how to build a underground hidden base entrance. And as you can see, I'm here in my Let's Play world for Build On, and it's because I built it in this world and I thought I'd show it to you first before I went to the tutorial. So I went ahead and built it here as part of my Iron Golem Slime Farm XP Farm complex, and I thought I'd show it to you first to show you that it does work in the real world. And so it is right here. Obviously you can see it, right? No, because it's hidden. And I did end up using a button. There's about a million different ways that you can actually set it up to activate it from the surface. Lots of different hidden methods, but this is the one I'm choosing for right now, just to make it easy. But that's our little access button, and as you can see, it brings us down into the underground. It's completely flush. It's 4 blocks tall total, 3 blocks clear, so if it had a horse I could actually ride it into the tunnels or do whatever I wanted to down here with it. And I've got 3 different activator buttons, or you could put pressure plates. There's again several different ways you can make it work, but there you go. As you can see, it's completely flush and hidden. It's part of this. It would work with sand, dirt, rock, stone, whatever it is that you want to put on it. It works with all of them. So the only thing that you'd have to do if you had sand or some other falling material is you'd have to have signs to hold it up, but otherwise it works perfectly well unless you get stuck in it like that. So here, we'll go ahead and reactivate it, bring it down, and we'll go back up to the surface, and then we'll go show you how to build this thing. Alright, welcome to the world that I set up specifically for this tutorial. Of course, I'll provide a link down in the description for you if you'd like to download it and take a look around. Overall, this is really a pretty simple build. There's not a tremendous amount of redstone. There's a number of comparators and repeaters, but otherwise, they're really the only resource-heavy thing is the sticky blocks. There's 5 sticky pistons and 4 sticky blocks. But it's pretty simple to build, and here, let me show you how this thing works. For this demonstration, I am using buttons and a dropper hopper T flip flopper, and so you can see it. I push the button, it raises the platform, and then I push it again, and it drops it on down. You can also walk over here onto the platform and be standing on it when you push the button, and it will raise you up, and then you can select the button again, and it will bring you down. One of the other kind of cool things about this one is that it's 3 blocks tall, and so if the platform is down, you can just walk off into it and drop down and be safe. And yeah, there you go. So let's go ahead and get into the build. You're going to need to excavate an area of about 8 by 8 by 9 blocks tall. Now, the reality is you may not need to excavate the entire thing because most of the structure is only 4 by 4 going all the way down. As you can see, a lot of the redstone and everything in the bottom 2 layers or so is really the only area you need to have 8 by 8, but I found it easier to excavate the entire thing. It just makes it easier to build. So let's start with the circuits that happen on the ground plane in each of the corners. You'll set 3 blocks in each corner, like this. Oops, with 1 block in between. These are going to be the circuits for each of the 4 pistons. And then you're going to need the 4 corners of your structure. As you can see, you basically have these 4 circuits, 1 in each corner. And go ahead and take your structure up 4 blocks. Let's go 4 blocks on each side, and then from 1 block up from the bottom, you're going to bring that block in. Go ahead and break that one right there. You're not going to need it. And now we've created the center platform in the middle where our sticky pistons are going to go. So let's get your sticky pistons and your slime blocks out. You're going to have 4 sticky pistons, 4 slime blocks, and then 4 blocks of whatever the surface is that you're building in. In this case, I'm going to use sandstone just because that's where we're building on the sand right now. And go ahead and bring your structure up to the level of the platform. Oops, don't need that one. And then you need to get out your immovable blocks. And so, as a lot of you know, with slime blocks, they take every block that they touch with them, with the exception of a few blocks. In this particular case, I'm going to use a furnace because, as you saw in my Let's Play world, it kind of matched the stone more than anything else. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan of obsidian as a decorative block. So to match this structure over there, what you're going to want to do is pick one side that you're not going to have access out of. One of the unique things about this particular structure is that you have 3 ways in which you're going to be able to leave once you actually have brought your platform down. And so make sure that you think about how you orient your hidden underground base entrance, because one direction you won't be able to get out that way. So let's go ahead and get 3 tall of whatever block that you want to put in there, and you can mix these and matches if you want to have obsidian for part of it, or some other immovable block. That's totally up to you. And then you want to go up 3. Now we're at the level of whatever surface we want to be building in, and if you wanted to actually have sand, you could put, as I had mentioned, you put signs to hold the sand up on each one of these posts, and you could actually put a platform of sand in there and put sand on here, and it still would completely function. In this case, I'm just using sandstone because it's easy and we're in the right location for it. So there you go. Our structure is complete. And this is actually a really good time before we start doing any of the redstone down below, just to double check and make sure, is it at the right elevation for you? If it's not, then you may have to adjust it up or down. But no matter what, it needs to be 9 blocks tall for the structure. Alright, let's get into the redstone. Now, I could explain a lot about why this redstone needs to work this way, but I think I'm going to try and be quick about it. So go ahead and pick the side opposite that you did the 6 blocks that were immovable, and place redstone on these 2 blocks that are directly adjacent to the framework, and then come to the other side and do the same thing. The only reason we're doing this right now is we're kind of marking the beginning points of our circuits. Now you're going to need your comparator. You're going to need 12 comparators total and 12 repeaters total. So go to each of these corners and go from the corner of the structure and point the comparator into the block with a redstone dot on it. And then what we're going to do is the area that's right below our 6, actually I take that back, the area that's to the right of our circuits on this side, you want to come through and you want to break that block out right there, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. And then you're going to set another block right there, get a sticky piston out, break this block right there, get that sticky piston, you're going to have to be able to get it underneath it, so that helps fine right there, and you can replace that one. And we'll come back and I'll show you why we have that one in a second. And the only reason we did this right now is because now we need to do our comparators out of it. This is going to be a redstone block. Like, let's go ahead and drop it in there. I can do that right now. That's going to be our power source. And so out of that, we want to take a comparator into the frame. And out of the frame, we're going to place another comparator into there. Out of this frame, a comparator into there. And we're just creating a circuit that's coming all the way around. And then just to complete it, we'll follow it again. There's our redstone source, comparator, into this block, redstone, into that comparator. That block, redstone, into that comparator. And complete that circuit. Now that is done. Now let's go ahead and do all of our repeaters really fast. These are actually really quick. So just as we had the comparator coming out of this block, we would need repeaters coming out of this block and completing this U-shaped circuit back into this block. And we need to do that for all 4 sides. So again, out of that block, through these blocks and into this one. Make sure the repeaters are going in the right direction. If they're not, it won't work. So make sure it's pointing into that block, and finally pointing into the block with a redstone dot on it. One more time, out of the powered framework, into the block, into that block, and lastly into the dot. Alright, we have our redstone circuits are virtually done. So now go ahead and get out your half slab. Make sure you've got some redstone on your hotbar. We're done with these circuits for right now. We'll go ahead and keep that in place. We won't need any more of our immovable blocks. We don't need any more sticky pistons, and we don't need any more redstone blocks. So let's go back to this side. So this is the side opposite the one that has the 6 immovable objects on one wall. So what we want to do is go ahead and the second block up on the upper block of the slab, go ahead and go to all 4 sides real quick and just place those guys. Now real quickly I'm going to number these pistons so it helps keep these straight in your memory, or as you're going back and reviewing this. This is piston 1. Maybe the best way to remember that is its opposite side of the 6 immovable blocks. The first piston is the left hand side. You want to make sure and set a half slab there, This is our second piston, so we're going 1, 2. Let's go back around over here to our third piston. We need it pointing into the bottom of that immovable block. And then we need this one pointing into the bottom of the next immovable block above it. So this is 3 and 4 is where those pistons are. Alright, now let's do our comparators. The last bit of comparators, we've got 4 more to place. You just place them on top of each one of those half slabs. There we go. Now let's complete our circuits. So starting at number 1, the idea is that this is the block of power, and we're going to skip it up to here, and so that'll go from this block up onto this half slab and into that half slab into our comparator. On circuit number 2, we need to go up 1, so we need to bring this up. Well, actually, yeah, I'll be able to do that right there. Let's make sure this works. It does, but as you can see, we just brought the power up to this half slab and up to this half slab and into this comparator, which will point into that block when it's in the right location. The problem is that it's skipping down to this one as well. So we need to place another block on top of there to cut that dust. So let's go to the third piston. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Replace that block. Don't do that. It won't do you any good. Alright. Now, what we could do is we could do redstone there, but as you can see, it's pointing into the side of the comparator. That won't work. So make sure that we do it over here on this one. We'll bust that guy out. Put it there, and now you can see it should work. Now we need to do the same thing on here. Oops. Bust that out, bust that out. Now in this case, we do need to do the same thing that we did on the other one previously on the other side. We've got our little ladder here, redstone coming up. And we need to make sure and come back so that the redstone is pointing into the end of the comparator. And again, like we had on the other side, it's trying to jump down. You can see that. So again, we need to put a block there to cut that dust and make sure it's headed in the right direction. Now, all 4 of those should work. And if you want to take just a minute and test it out, you can put a lever on each one of these. Just make sure you start from the first one. So again, left-hand side, opposite of the 6-block tall wall, or 6-block wall. It's only 3 tall. We just did 1, and then we did 2, 3, 4. Now it should be in place. It is. That was a good first test. Go ahead and break these guys out. We don't need those anymore. That was just for testing purposes. Now what we need to do is we need to set up our T flip-flop. So let's go ahead and extend our walkways out a little bit from each one. There you go. So you can see now, you get a little bit better idea that why these are here and why we can't remove those, because there is structure on the other side that'll be blocking that direction. But you can move in any one of these directions. In fact, if you really wanted to, you could actually eliminate these. They're not necessary. But in this particular case, we're going to leave them in place because it helps illustrate how this works. And we do need to have a block right here. This is going to be our activator switch right there. So go ahead and put a button on that. And now I'm going to get out our purple because I want to show you the rest of this circuit. And it's going to be a little bit different. Alright, so we need to put one under that. That's a dummy block, so you can bust that one out. Then we put another one right on top of there. And you could take your redstone and take it down to that one. And the useful part of having that redstone there is you can see this sometimes. You can see the hitbox for the redstone. That makes it a little bit easier to set some of these. But now you need a hopper and a dropper. So hopper, 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 and a dropper. And then one, I'm using a gold ore as an example, but you can put any block into these when the time comes. Alright. So let's actually do this first. Let's put this half slab right there, and will need one more comparator into that. And then that'll help give me something to put this dropper up against. So I'm kind of pointing along the back side of it just to see if I get this in the right direction. That is the direction you want it facing. Now you want to have the next one facing up, like that. And you want to have this top one facing in this direction. Oops, that's not right. Facing towards me, there we go. And the orientation of these is very important. It will break it if you don't have it in the exact right orientation. And in this upper right hand dropper, go ahead and place a chunk of gold ore in there. And I think that looks like everything is in place. And so what will happen is that we'll hit this T flip-flop. That ore will work its way into this particular dropper, which will activate this comparator, which will activate this block, or will power this block, and activate this piston to grab the redstone block. And once it pulls that redstone block up, it's going to activate the rest of the system. So let's give it a shot. Oh, it didn't work. There we go. Oh, I know what we forgot to do. This is a good example of troubleshooting. We forgot to set the timing for everything. So, the one thing we need to remember is we're actually setting the timing for all 4 pistons. So again, we have the comparator that comes out of this loop of power, and it is an immediate tick that sends power up. Now we need to set the power for how the pistons are retracted back down. So what we need to do is go to the 4th piston. So remember how we numbered these earlier? I'll go back to the beginning just to make double sure that we understand it. So 1 is opposite of the wall on the left hand side. So this is 1, 2. Come back around this side. This is the 3rd piston here and the 4th piston there. So we're going to the 4th piston, and what we need to do is look at the timing on it. And what we want to do is reverse the timing. So you're thinking about how this is going to pull it down. So the very first one that has to come down is the number 4 piston. So we can actually leave the timing in place. So right now there's 3 repeaters for 3 ticks, and we leave those all set on 1. And now we want to go to the number 3 piston, and we want to delay that slightly. And so the easiest thing that when I set this up was to just make it 1 additional tick on each one. So there's 2 ticks on that one, 2 ticks on that one, 2 ticks on that one for 6 total. 3 total on 4, 6 total on 3. And now that we're going to piston number 2, we want to delay it past that one just slightly. So we'll go to 3 ticks, 3 ticks, 3 ticks. So that's a total of 9 ticks delay on number 2. And then on number 1, we want all 4 on those 3 repeaters. So remember, on piston number 1, you have 12 tick delay, all 3 repeaters set to 4. On number 2, you have a 9 tick delay, all 3 repeaters set to 3. On number 3, we have a 6 tick delay with all 3 repeaters set to 2. And on number 4, we've got a 3 tick delay with all 3 repeaters staying on their first position. So that should have it working now. There we go. Yep, we are now working. There we go, yay! So the thing to remember with this is now we can actually add additional circuits that allow us to have buttons up on the surface, additional buttons you know, in these locations here, so it makes it easier for any direction that you're coming from. The only thing you have to remember is that when you do, you tie it into this point right here. So this is the one important spot that you need to make sure and have that redstone come into, no matter what you do. And you know, here as an example over here, I went ahead and set this up. This was just a vertical sending the signal back down to that location. It brings it into the end right there, and that allows me up on this surface. Whoa, overshot that just a little bit. To hit that button and bring it down. Hello? Did I break something? I must have broke something on this one. I think I did. Neither here nor there. Alright, well there you go. This one's working. I don't know what I did to break that one, but I broke something on it. But there you go. There's just your fully functional hidden underground base. You saw it functioning in my my build on world, so I'm super proud of this one. It took me a long time to finally get this figured out and to get it into what I think is a really compact system for the most part. Even though it's 8 by 8, there's very little redstone and very little resources that go into this compared to a lot of the other ones I've seen. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get to use it. Leave questions, comments, likes, subscribes, all well appreciated. So good luck in your next build. Thanks. Bye.